information out for you.
Yeah,
That's
usually
not a
any
problem.
Parkinson links I find that are shared on the website or the Facebook page, we share it on our page, so we spread the word. So you can always email it to me or message me, and I share, any information we have.
Okay, fine.
Facebook
I'm
page
just,
we use as a
because
newspaper.
there are
Since we have no
practitioners
Yeah.
in our community that can help with Parkinson's,
Yeah.
in alternative modalities. That was,
Thank you.
Because, they have that clinic too in town with the holistic medicine and that, and that would be something.
right, but that's only every 3 months. I mean,
Right. So anything like
there's
that,
an acupuncturist,
Definitely, make a
there's
flyer even if we could in our website.
cranial sacral
You want to coordinate
therapies.
with Joyce? Welcome.
Okay, all right.
Resolution 7416, advertise for bids, Muller Road Bridge replacement. Whereas the town of Shandaken Highway Department is seeking bids for Muller Road Bridge replacement as a result of Hurricane Irene damage, there will be a mandatory bid meeting on Thursday, March 17th. St. Patrick's Day. Ooh. Thursday, March 17th at 1 p.m. at the Shandaken Town Hall. Specifications are available at the Highway Superintendent's office, 7209. Mr. Riccadella, thank you. 7209 Route 28, Shandaken, New York, or by calling 845-688-5031 and on our website, www.shandaken.us/bids. Therefore, be it resolved that bids clearly marked on envelope Muller Road Bridge replacement will be received at the Town Clerk's Office, Shandaken Town Hall, 7209 Route 28, P.O. Box 67, Shandaken, New York 12480, no later than 3 p.m. on Monday, April 4th, 2016, to be opened at the regular Town Board meeting scheduled for 7 p.m. that evening. The Town Board reserves the right to reject any and all bids and move its adoption.
I'll second that.
Board Member Allen?
Yes.
Board Member Eastman?
Yes.
Board Member Malloy?
Yes.
Board Member Spore?
Yes.
Supervisor Stanley?
Mr. Stanley, don't think I won't get what you do.
All right, I promise. We only have 2 more after this, so
We're almost
just
done.
hang
We're
in
almost
there,
done.
everybody. Resolution 75-15, Revenue Anticipation Note Resolution. A resolution authorizing the issuance of revenue anticipation notes of the town of Shandaken, Ulster County, New York, in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $2,500,000 pursuant. Yeah, do it.
Aggregate principal amount not to exceed $2,500,000 pursuant to the local finance law. Be resolved by the Town Board of the Town of Shandaken, Ulster County, New York, the town as follows. Section 1, the revenue anticipation notes of the town in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $2,500,000 are hereby authorized to be issued in anticipation of the collection by the town of monies from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, to finance the cost of the stabilization of the embankment on Moneybrook Road and the replacement of the Muller Road Bridge, the Little Peck Hollow Bridge, and the Lower Birch Creek Bridge. Such monies are due and payable in fiscal year 2016 and are revenues other than real estate taxes or assessments. Section 2, the amount of monies to be collected from FEMA against which said revenue anticipation notes are authorized to be issued is $2,500,000. Section 3, said revenue anticipation notes shall mature on March 31st, 2017. Section 4, each of these notes authorized by this resolution shall contain the recital of validity prescribed by Section 52 of the local finance law. The faith and credit of the town are hereby irrevocably pledged for the punctual payment of the principal of and interest on said revenue anticipation notes as the same respectively become due and payable. Section 5, subject to the terms and contents of this resolution in the local finance law and pursuant to the provisions of Section 30, 50, 56 to 63, inclusive of said law, power to authorize the issuance of the revenue anticipation notes authorized by this resolution and the renewals of said notes, including without limitation dates, denominations, maturities, interest payments, dates, consolidation with other issues, manner of execution and redemption rights, and the power to sell and deliver said revenue anticipation notes is hereby delegated to the town supervisor, chief fiscal officer of the town. The town supervisor is hereby authorized to sign the revenue anticipation notes issued pursuant to this resolution, and the town clerk is hereby authorized to affix the corporate seal of the town to said revenue anticipation notes and to attest such seal. Section 6, the town supervisor is further also authorized to take actions and execute such documents as may be necessary to ensure the continued status of the interest on the revenue anticipation notes authorized by this resolution as excludable from gross income for federal income tax purposes pursuant to Section 103 of the Internal Revenue Code 1986, as amended the code, and to designate the revenue anticipation notes authorized by this resolution as qualified tax exempt obligations in accordance with Section 265B3 of the code. Section 7, the validity of said revenue anticipation notes may be contested only if A, such obligations are authorized for an object or purpose in which the town is not authorized to expend money, or B, the provisions of law which will be complied with at the date of the publication of this resolution, or a summary thereof are not substantially complied, and an action, suit, or proceeding contesting such validity is commenced within 20 days after the date of such publication, or C, such obligations are authorized in violation of the provisions of this Constitution. Section 8, the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish this resolution or a summary thereof, together with a notice of substantially the form provided in Section 81 of the local finance law in the Daily Freeman, a newspaper having general circulation in the town, and hereby designated as the official newspaper of the town for such publication. Section 9, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption and move its adoption.
I second. Board Member Albert. Board Member DeScalani.
Yes.
Board Member Malloy.
Yes.
Board Member Schwartz.
Yes.
Board Member
All right, resolution 76-15, approving town CSA. All these acronyms. CSEA highway contract, whereas the Shandaken Highway Department employees are contractual employees of the town of Shandaken, and whereas town officials, employees of the town highway department, and their respective CSA representatives in attendance had reached an accord, and whereas the Shandaken Highway Department employees met on March 1st, that the Town of Shandaken Town Board hereby approves the contract as negotiated for the period of January 1, 2016 through December 31st, 2019, including all terms agreed to negotiation and ratification. I move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member Albert.
Yes.
Board Member DeScalani.
Yes.
Board Member Malloy.
Yes.
Board Member Schwartz.
Yes.
Supervisor Stanley.
Yes.
Last one.
Okay,
The last one.
Accepting final local flood analysis report for hamlets of Phoenicia and Mount Clemson. Whereas the Shandaken in 2015 had enlisted the services of the town engineer firm Malone and McBroom Incorporated, MMI, to conduct a local flood analysis, LFA, report for the hamlets of Phoenicia and Mount Tremper, to investigate multiple options for flood reduction and resiliency projects within each of those hamlets in order to qualify those hamlets for funding through certain programs for flood mitigation and resiliency. And whereas, following several town board and community meetings where the public was invited to provide input and questions as to options that they would like to see investigated. And whereas in January 2016, MMI made a presentation of their final findings at a public meeting with the town board, including feasibility of the options investigated and the most economically viable options used in benefit cost analysis, BCA. And whereas the Shandaken Town Board members and the Shandaken Area Flood Assessment remediation initiative. Safari. This one we can do. Safari. And until February 15, 2016, to submit comments for inclusion in the final LFA report. And whereas those comments have been included in the final LFA, including a more detailed BCA, illustrating specific potentials, damage totals, and structures that would benefit from any such action to be taken. And whereas the town board also recognizes that any such project to be implemented shall be embarked upon with the support of the public within the committee, and the town board will maintain a willing property owner. Positions concerning any project affecting a special property. Example, no eminent domain proceedings, no takings. And whereas the Shandaken Town Board also recognizes the need to implement flood resilience and mitigation projects in order to maintain tax bases, the economy, and most importantly, the well-being of its residents and business. Therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Shandaken Town Board hereby accept the final LFA report prepared by MMI, including all amendments as prescribed by town board members and the Safari Group, and that the town board embark on finding funding for any such feasible project and report back to the public on any progress toward any goal as prescribed in said LFA, and moves its adoption.
I'll second.
Board Member Alba?
Yes.
Board Member DeScalani?
Yes.
Board Member Malloy?
Yes.
Board Member Storm?
Yes.
Supervisor Downs?
Yay.
I know a lot of you have been very, very patient with us. I'm going to introduce this gentleman over here. I get your father, John, I
Yes, yes.
presume? Supervisor Staley, nice to meet you.
Eric.
Read.
Eric has.
Oh, good for you.
Yes.
And you just sign those contracts, sign those three contracts.
You've got 3 minutes, sir.
Where's the property?
Thank you. My name is Father John Nelson. I come down from Woodstock, and I'd like to acknowledge the Route 212 Coalition and all their hard work with the law enforcement. I stand behind them for what they're doing, and I wish you all the best with your work with this terrible scourge of heroin that's got everybody all worked up and concerned. I'm coming here to just ask everyone to, if you're able to join us in a weekly Saturday meeting that we're having at the Boyceville Inn. It's called Explore the Catskills, and what we're doing is we're presenting a package deal with the railroad, the Water Discovery Center, and Crossroads Ventures, bundling them all up into one economic package as a stimulation package for the scenic byways corridor. And we're welcoming all partners who are already currently well established and engaged in the scenic byway to join us with their thoughts, their ideas. So the meeting is on Saturday night, 7 o'clock at the Boyceville Inn. We'd ask everybody to come down. We want to try to extend the railroad lease for another year, give some more time to explore the options and rehabilitate the railroad. So I want to thank you for your time. I want to introduce Joe Horowitz, who is the architect for a very important project that's being built up the corridor which the railroad would service. Joe.
How do I summarize 10 years of work in 3 minutes? But I'll take an attempt at it. About 10 years ago, we proposed something called the Water Discovery Center. It's a facility up in Arkville dedicated to every aspect of water, everything from global warming to the nature of the water molecule, to nature of global degradation, what's happening in the oceans. It's the only facility of its kind on this entire planet dedicated specifically to water. When we started this project, it's about 9 years ago, the very concept of global warming or what we refer to an inconvenient truth was not really on the horizon yet. And yet what's been happening recently, we talk about, or there are issues of water that are in the newspaper, the radio, or television every single day. It's not just about Flint, Michigan. It's about whole chunks of the ocean which are absolutely dead zones right now, dead zones which are growing. This is happening throughout the planet. Future warfare will be primarily about the acquisition and availability of potable water. Potable is a fancy word, water that can be drunk. This is a condition which is going to get worse. And water is the most, obviously, we're 60% water, the planet's covered with 70% water. There's no substitute for water. If you run out of water, we die. Everything else, there's a substitute. If you don't have enough wood, there's steel. There's not steel, there's plastic. You name it, there's not this kind of food, there's another kind. I'm going to eat up my 3 minutes. Let me just say, everyone knows where my office is. They don't realize they pass it almost every day. On the way toward Kingston, as you pass the 375 intersection that heads off to Woodstock, 10th of a mile past there's a white church. It's no longer a church, the former United Methodist Church. That's my office. We have models that weigh hundreds of pounds, so I can't possibly do justice to what we're proposing. Other than to say this is a unique facility. Years ago, we met with the directors of many of the school systems in New York State. Very, very interested in coming down here. We've reached a critical juncture. The critical juncture is what would bring people up here. Well, there are a number of things that have happened recently. One, Crosso Ventures at High Mount and at Bel Air is very close to having its final trip. I see you up there to watch. You're making your point. No, fair enough. I will come. Please come by the office, see what we're doing. It's an amazing time because now things are happening in Kingston and Woodstock that we've never seen before. So a project which has been sitting here now waiting for something to happen for about 8 or 9 years has really reached a critical mass where things could be happening now. Airbnb is an example. What's happening in Kingston is an example. What's happening in Woodstock. I have proposals on the Hudson River. The area is going to be discovered, and this is a major component of what can happen in the area for those people who are discovering the area. Thank you, and God bless you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Okay, folks, thank you all for being very patient with us. Again, we have a lot of business. We had not intended for this discussion. We hadn't set up a special meeting or anything for it. We did hear on Facebook and stuff that people were coming to the meeting, so of course we're welcoming time for comment, open public comment. I will tell you that today we put out some flyers here. There was a large forum taking place down in New Paltz towards the end of April. So if you get a chance towards the end of the meeting, please come up and get a copy. Did I forward that to you as well?
Yeah, it's on our Facebook
So that's on our
page
Facebook
also.
page and website to let people know about that. Another thing I read today, an article that I thought was well written concerning Ulster County and heroin addiction, is a piece called Peace, Love, and Heroin Addiction in upstate New York. And it really gives you the blow-by-blow of how this is occurring, why it's transpiring, and just the horror that it's become.
Where was that?
It was online. I just punched in Peace, Love, and it was Peace, Love, and Heroin Addiction.
It's posted on our
I
Facebook
Googled for
page.
heroin addiction,
Yeah.
this thing popped up.
I think it's Warriors Times.
What's
Yeah,
that?
Warriors Times, I think.
Was it?
Some of those.
So, in addition, I also, this past week, had the pleasure of going to Washington, D.C. I ended up meeting with Congressman Gibson, and I did comment to him about Ryan's passing, because it occurred the day before I was leaving. And he was, of course, distraught. He's upset. But he said it's not just here. It's his whole region. It's the nation. It's going on, and it's occurring more and more. So again, the more we welcome the talk, we welcome educating people on it. And I really think that's where it's going to go. I mean, a lot of it, if you talk to a lot of professionals, it's education and treatment. That's the best that we can do, for these people. So with that, welcome hands for people that would like to make a comment or statement. I just ask again, I know people may be a little angry, they may be upset, completely understandable. Just ask to keep it civil. Cooler heads will always prevail.
Please state your names and your addresses, okay?
Do I have to give my specific address?
No, but Hamlet,
I'm just kidding. My name is Lee Kuzinski. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a Chichester resident for the last 15 years. My husband and I moved up here from Manhattan and Seattle, and we picked this area because we had a daughter and we were very concerned about raising her in an urban environment and wanting to really be as protective of her childhood as we could possibly be. And I have to say that raising her in this community really was the right decision. and it's been a beautiful community in regards to that. And I feel very blessed and fortunate that she spent her childhood up here. Conversely, I am very stunned and shocked at a problem I didn't know was happening right in our own hamlet until Ryan's passing. I feel ignorant about it. I feel completely out of the loop and a little irresponsible. We all get so stuck in our own trajectory. This is a difficult area to live, to make a living. Most of us are working 3 and 4 jobs, trying to raise our kids, trying to do everything we can to support our families. So oftentimes I'll run into Rob somewhere or you guys somewhere and say hello, but I don't really get the lowdown on what's happening and the finger on the pulse of what's happening in our community. So I was very stunned by this and very heavy-hearted, really broken-hearted about it. And it's something I've heard, whispers about from my own daughter about what's happening to some of her friends, what's happening in the community. Without a lot of facts, though, I really took it with kind of a grain of salt, but also still being concerned. So I took it upon myself to start asking questions about what really is happening in our community. I've talked to a lot of business owners, I've talked to parents, I've talked to community members. None of this is substantiated, so I just want to say that. And I'm not trying to say anything salacious, but I do want to start a conversation. And it's not about creating dissension, it's about coming together as a community to try to find the best possible resolution. Fighting with each other is only going to cause more derailment to solving the problem. But I do want to share what I've heard because it's concerning to me, and I heard the same thing repeated by very many people. And again, these are not facts, this is conversation that's repeated a lot. So the things that I heard consistently was, there's a huge drug problem in Phoenicia. Unsubstantiated, but I heard that there was someone in front of the Phoenicia pharmacy that was caught trying to deal heroin. There's been a problem behind the pharmacy for a very long time. I also heard that over by the park on Route 42, there's been dealing going on. Again, I don't know these as facts. I'm just repeating things that were said to me over and over again by people who seem to be very convinced that this was true. I've also heard that there are several members in our community that are known to be dealing these drugs, that a lot of people are aware of this. Some people actually were saying they experienced it firsthand, they knew for a fact. I'm not going to say any names, I can't substantiate it. But again, repeated conversation by more than one person, business owners, parents, and community members, over and over again. And then there was a posting on Facebook of a hypodermic needle that was found on Route 214 in front of the elementary school. So in my opinion, where there's this much smoke, there's fire. And I'm appalled by this, and I'm deeply concerned about all of our children, because if this happens to one child in our community, it happens to all of us. And we bear the burden of responsibility to try to find a way, though it is very complicated and there are no easy answers, to protect our children. I also feel that, people were saying to me many things about the police. And again, I don't know because I haven't spoken to any of the police, but many people said to me, we've spoken to the police and what they have said to us is that we're trying to catch the big guys, that we're not concerned about the local small-time dealers. I can't substantiate that. I'm not saying it's true. Again, I haven't had that conversation with the police department. And that's why I think this moment, though it may not be the ideal moment to have this kind of meeting or conversation, it opens up the dialogue, and we need to have those conversations with the local police. We need to have those conversations with the town board. What do we know about this problem? What is known so far? What are we doing about it? And what are we going to do about it? Those are the things I'm concerned with. And I also wanted to ask, if we're not adding to the police department, how many police are currently in the department in Shandaken?
We have now 3 full-timers and 7 part-timers.
20 hours a day of coverage, right?
20 hours a day coverage.
Yeah.
It was a little shortened by the manpower issues prior to, but we're back to 20 hours.
Well-
And I'm sure Chad, once you're done,
Yeah, I'm done, that's all I know, thank you.
Chad, you want to address I will say that, there was a program that Liz Potter had coordinated and shared a couple of months ago. It was Coffee with a Cop at the library, which was very successful. I asked Liz today if maybe we could reinvigorate that coming up. And again, just to get people out there to see, and have the one-to-one and get it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
But so.
Yeah, it's funny, I actually had a really long conversation with this today. So,
Okay, yeah, I think she mentioned that to you, that's good.
Yeah, like I said before in the beginning of the meeting, the hypodermic needle that was posted on Facebook, no one ever called us about that. So I found out about it yesterday, which is very disturbing to me, and we was certainly acted on it.
Yeah.
And I get, not a lot of people want to rat their neighbor out, but at this point, we have to, so if you have some suspicious activity where you think there's cars in and out, call us. We have a lot of great resources in this county to be able to start to combat this a little bit. As far as, going after the big fish, well, I won't go into a whole narcotics investigation, but, it always starts small. So we'll have a conversation, sure.
Okay.
But the main thing is, just like the hypodermic needle that was found on the road, my concern is, where is it now? We actually sent somebody up to take a look and we couldn't find it. Let us come, let us get it, let us dispose of it. And from there, just call off the taste of community. So the more information I can get, the better it is for me.
Right, and it's anonymous, so there's no need to
That's
fear
fine.
any kind of.
There's tip lines,
retribution.
we have a great partnership with the sheriff's